Can a country be rich and poor at the same time? How could that happen? How can someone destroy the economy of a big country? Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we will speak about France in the era of Louis XVI. Once upon a time, there was a rich and powerful country called France. It had a thriving commerce, with merchants trading goods all over the world. But despite its wealth, France was also a country of great suffering. The majority of the French people were peasants and laborers who lived in poverty. They worked long hours for little pay, and they were often forced to pay high taxes to the government. Meanwhile, a small number of wealthy aristocrats owned most of the land and resources. They lived in luxury and splendor, while the rest of the country struggled to survive. The French government was also in debt due to its wars and extravagant spending. This debt led to even higher taxes for the French people, and it further exacerbated their economic hardship. Here is a more detailed look at the economic and social problems of France in the time of Louis XVI. Feudalism was a system of economic and social inequality that had existed in France for centuries. Under feudalism, the aristocracy owned most of the land and resources. They also had a number of special privileges, such as the right to collect taxes from the peasants. The French peasantry was burdened with a number of feudal dues, which were payments and services that they were required to provide to their lords. These dues could include money, labor, and produce. In addition to feudal dues, the peasants were also required to pay taxes to the government. These taxes were often high, and they could be difficult for the peasants to pay, especially during times of economic hardship. Government debt. The French government was heavily in debt due to its wars and extravagant spending. This debt led to high taxes for the French people, which further exacerbated their economic hardship. The French government had been involved in a number of costly wars in the 18th century, including the 7 Years' War and the American Revolutionary War. The government also spent heavily on luxury items, such as palaces, gardens, and art. The French government's debt problem reached a crisis point in the late 18th century. The government was unable to pay its creditors, and it was forced to borrow more money at high interest rates. This led to even higher taxes for the French people. Overpopulation. France was a densely populated country in the 18th century. This led to a shortage of land and resources, which made it difficult for the French people to earn a living. The population of France had been growing rapidly in the 18th century. This was due to a number of factors, including improved medical care and a decline in infant mortality. The growth in population led to a shortage of land and resources. The French peasantry was particularly hard hit by this shortage. Many peasant families were forced to divide their land among their children, which made it difficult for them to make a living. Crop failures. There were a number of crop failures in France in the late 18th century. This led to food shortages and high prices, which made it difficult for the French people to feed their families. The crop failures were caused by a number of factors, including bad weather and pests. The crop failures led to food shortages and high prices, which made it difficult for the French people to afford food. The economic and social problems of France in the time of Louis XVI led to a great deal of suffering among the French people. The peasants were particularly hard hit by these problems. They were burdened with heavy feudal dues and taxes, and they often struggled to make ends meet. The economic and social problems of France were also a major factor in the outbreak of the French Revolution in 1789. The revolutionaries sought to address these problems by abolishing feudalism, establishing a new economic system based on free markets and private property, and redistributing land to the peasants. The story of France in the time of Louis XVI is a reminder that even when a country is rich, its people can still suffer if the wealth is not evenly distributed. It is also a reminder that revolutions can have unintended consequences. What do you think of the economic and social problems of France in the 18th century? What role did commerce play in the French Revolution? Please let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Historian channel for more videos about fascinating historical figures and events. Thanks for watching.